It's necessary for incoming government to sustain gains of MSMEs, Osinbajo says. Oil prices steady and prospects of balancing supply after steep sell-off. TCN restores power after minor disturbances. Shares in the Asia Pacific were mixed on Tuesday after shares fall on Monday. This is Business Express on a network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, and we're reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am the Ekating Baba today. You're welcome. A very warm good morning to you. Sustaining the momentum already built in providing needed support for the micro, small and medium enterprises sector is highly crucial to the Nigerian economy. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who is of this view, says incoming government will be encouraged to continue with the initiative. This was when a group of Made in Nigeria advocates paid a court's visit to the Vice President in the precision of the administration's support for MSMEs in the country.
In the last 7 years, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has been leading the federal government's team on the implementation of various initiatives such as the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinics, Survival Fund, Trader Money, and other interventions. The Vice President considers this sector as crucial to the economy as it provides excellent services and opportunity for millions of Nigerians. And he says this momentum built on the sector must be maintained given its crucial position in the economy.
I expect that whichever I expect that the incoming government will see the need to promote the MSME sector. We'll make sure that we provide everything that is required to ensure that we support them in being able to step into their responsibilities in another way that will be for the maximum benefit of the economy.
About the Made in Nigeria concept and the need to develop local capacity, the Vice President says it is true that no economy can be entirely self-sustaining, but it is important to emphasize that Nigerians have the capacity to do a lot in the country. The group acknowledged the contributions of the Vice President through key interventions supervised under his office, noting that they positively impacted small businesses in the space.
We're very confident that a large number of them have been very impacted by some of these intervention programs, and we are only grateful because a large number of them are under the purview of the Made in Nigeria project, because you cannot do without indigenous homegrown initiatives like the Made in Nigeria project.
Assets Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCAN, says Nigeria needs a more standard market to help relocate roadside sellers and also grow Nigeria's economy. Chairman Governing Council of AMCAN, Muiz Banere, stated these while making a case for market women, where he added that it is time to prioritize women in the society to ensure rapid growth in the country's economy. And so we move to our focus this morning as Nigerians anxiously await the outcome of the 287th meeting of the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee that is taking place in Abuja. The two-day meeting rounds off in a matter of hours, and of course NTA will be bringing that live to you. I have joining me via telephone an economist with SPM Professionals, Paul Alaje, and we'll be speaking on the possible expectations and outcomes of the meeting. You're welcome, Paul, to Business Express.
Thank you so very much for having me, and good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, and how is the traffic situation this morning?
Well, it's very hectic.
Okay, so inflation has continued to rise despite the MPC's decision to hike MPR as at the last time to 14%. Well, a lot of things have been happening and questions have also been coming up. For starters, what are the parameters that you think will shape the decision of that committee in the coming hours?
Well, one of the parameters that I think will shape the decision of the MPC, we see the inflation, and after inflation, there are other parameters that might influence what central bank or the monetary policy committee will take their decision, will take their decision on. Another major parameter they may be looking at is what is happening to the economy generally. And when you look at it, they are faced with three decisions, whether to hold rates, to reduce rates, or to increase rates. One of the decisions is certain that the authority may not consider at all, and that decision of reducing rates. They are therefore faced with two remaining decisions, which is to hold rates or to increase rates. If they hold rate at 14%, the slope of inflation, the rate at which inflation is growing, it is clear that the rate of inflation growth is high. And that is why if they hold rate to wait for another 2 months, nobody knows what inflation might be. Food inflation seems to be very high. In fact, urban inflation in the city, which also can be traced to imported commodity in terms of the devaluation of Naira, both in the official market and parallel window, has tremendous impact. And that is why chances are high that monetary policy committee may likely want to increase rates. And if they are not increasing NPR, they may want to make adjustments to other parameters which include CRR, cash reserve ratio, cash reserve requirements, and liquidity ratio. It's important this moment today for some of these parameters to be considered as it's having tremendous negative impact on the economy. Inflation is getting really high, over 20%. I'm not sure we've had that in the last close to about 2 decades. But having it this time, not just because it's Nigeria, there are global phenomena that continue to affect inflation and that of exchange rate in Nigeria.
Okay.
How do monetary authority, in this case monetary policy committee, save the economy from getting battered from inflation? Is to consider or to adjust the rate as we have them today.
Okay, already we are hearing the World Bank raise concern that if the CBN decides to hike rate, there might be a recession in the horizon. Is that what we can afford at this time as a nation?
I said last week that global recession is imminent. When you look at China just reopened partially after another lockdown, long round of lockdown. American economy has shows two negative growth rates quarter on quarter, which technically you can't say the American economy is in recession. Whether that has been announced officially or not, it's a different ballgame entirely. Let's leave that. Look at the remaining parts of the world. If you the only option, not the only option, the option monetary authority has right now is to increase rates. But there is the responsibility of government, which is injection of funds through several programs, which is what fiscal authority must do. So central bank, World Bank, which of course relates more with different central banks, the Fed in America, Central Bank of Nigeria, that of Ghana, and so on and so forth. They will continue to take these decisions until this decision is complemented by fiscal authority and more importantly trade authority across the globe. If you ask me, do I think the world will witness a recession in 2023? The chances are very high. This is 2022. For instance, in Nigeria, the growth rate our country has experienced, we may want to call it the year of boom, is pre-election year because of several pre-election spending. Can we say this for sure? Even though we are seeing COVID in 2020, which was more prominent in 2020 and 2021, that's COVID-19, can we say 2022 is better off? This is because there are so many factors that are beyond control, or there are so many factors we have not prepared for, and that is why we are witnessing this. So it is not just about the recession. It's perhaps very, very, very imminent that the world, and when I say the world, we might have the exemption of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, 5, 6, 10 countries, but some significant economy will go into a recession in 2023, and unfortunately, it has tremendous negative impact on the economies around the world, Nigeria inclusive.
Okay, so while we're looking at the recovery from COVID this year, we didn't see the Russian-Ukrainian war coming before the time it did, and of course, it is also taking toll on the nation, affecting the oil market, affecting practically everything. Now, in the currency market, the black market exchange rate against the naira now to the dollar has seen its highest gap. I mean, above 60% in recent times, the highest in 6 years. How is this impacting on the fundamentals, and how will this shape the decision of the MPC?
We are first global citizens before we respond to Naira. This is because of the nature of our economy, and this is because of our faith level in our country. When a marriage loses faith, you see divorce, you see separation. The same thing is applicable to an economy. When people start losing faith in their own economy, you see the reflection of that in the currency. Why? Because our faith that the car we should drive comes from abroad. That means we believe in the country or the producers and the country they come from. That's on one hand. Two, our faith in other things, call it material, call it whatever we buy. Who do we believe? Who do we trust to feed us, to clothe us, to house us, to drive us? The Nigerian economy, the kind of faith Nigerians have in it, in terms, I'm not talking economic faith this time, is very, very low. Meanwhile, people will continue to depend on the rest of the world. So whatever is happening to the other economy, so long as that is where our faith belongs to, that is where our trust belongs to, that is where our demand is coming from. Whatever happens to them, we will continue to carry the issues and the economic devaluation and whatever happens to their currency, whether it is weaker against ours, we will continue to stay with it. And this is the reality of what is happening to our economy this moment today. So the gap is huge, the gap is wide. But the question is, are we doing something to reduce this gap? Are we doing something to improve the faith level we have in our country? And I can tell you that when people are faithless, that is when they abandon the education sector. I will tell you the implication. I will tell you the implication on exchanges. They abandon the education sector in Nigeria and will decide to school abroad. Why? Because they don't believe enough in the education sector in Nigeria. Maybe because of ASU strike, maybe because of other reasons, maybe because of the level of education, maybe because of awareness. There are so many reasons. But when you go abroad, you go back to the central bank and you make demand on the dollar. Meanwhile, when you do that, you are taking 3 decisions. The value of Naira will certainly get weaker. If Naira is not, if people abroad are not demanding for Naira, at the level with which Nigerians are demanding for other commodities or other currencies, locally. So there is a lot that needs to be done in terms of improving faith in our currency and making people to believe more in the Naira.
Okay, I'm glad you're already headed to where I need to go right now. The dollar we're all having faith in is already also losing value against other currencies. But faith, as you put it, is one we have seen in multi-dimensional facets, consuming what we produce, as the president has always said, and of course buying what we produce. Self-sufficiency, how deep is this? Does this go? How deep does it run now when we depend on other economies for virtually everything? How do we reinvent this fate on our currency and the economy?
Thank you so very much, madam. I think to start with, we need, first of all, orientation. We need to improve our belief system. There's about 15 pillars that hold every economy. And these pillars is what Nigerians and the government of Nigeria, when I say government, I mean federal, state, and local government, must agree on rebuilding. The truth is that we cannot produce everything that we have. But for those that we certainly can produce, which include refining our oil, which includes securing our crude oil from being stolen about 50 to 80% by hoodlums, we must come together as a people and our government to say enough is enough. And we must protect the sanctity and integrity of our country beyond the borders, even internally. And when this is done, we will start receiving, when we export, imagine 50% or 80% of the crude oil stolen have been sold, and we have hard currency. That would have pushing the effect of the demand for dollar. Would have had some form, some hard currency to respond when demand is played undeniable. So there are key things that must be done by government, and there must also key things that must be done by the people. So I just say, because state economic faith is also a function of taste. We must do quite a number of things to adjust. And I think fundamental among them is infrastructure. Apart from that, population control. Quite a number of others, about 15 of them, which time did not permit me because of limited time I have in this program today. Maybe some other time we can look at the economic pillars and fundamentals that can help a country to improve in faith.
Okay, I must sincerely thank you, Paul Alaja, and indeed, we're going to make out time to look at these pillars because Nigeria needs to work for each and every citizen. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Do have a great day. Now, how much is the Naira exchanging for other currencies? Let's find out. And Boss the Abel takes us through our Surviving COVID-19 series.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
The business electric car. Now be my business for this area on 3 also.
Okay, so how long you don't do this business?
This business I reached 20 years to sell this kind of business. Before I get shop here, 2 shop. That time when the devolution, I here now I know get shop. That's why I come here. I just they do mileage.
How the business since you moved from here?
My business they move well way. I dey sell on well way. Thank you very much. That's why I no go leave this business. I dey do and small. Anytime can get shop. Come out go enter my shop. Just do my own business. Like how is at the mileage like that. So that I dey here because of me. I don't take for this area. Any person where you know me, if you come, you see me, you telling me the tune where you want. I will go open my teeth, carrying a teeth coin, give a salam for him. That's what I will do for the COVID-19. At the mileage like that, so that I dey here because of me. I don't take for this area. Any person where you know me, if you come, you see me, you telling me the tune where you want. I will go open my teeth, carrying a teeth coin, give a salam for him. That's what I will do for the COVID-19. At the mileage, the time where they spoil 1,000 naira, I can spoil 500. That's what I use. This is COVID-19 finish. I don't hear them. I don't do register. I no get them. I no go fee get. I register. I pay money myself. I no get them. I just leave. If I get point Tuesday that morning now, I will go rent shop, find place where they do my own business. Make you go anywhere where I will go buy something. I know the place. I know Lagos. I know everywhere where to go. Buy me a teeth computer here. I will go find me a shop just down.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
The Nigeria's livestock subsector has a huge economic potential worth over 33 trillion naira annually, which should be explored and harnessed. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Ns Umakihe, who stated this in Benin, noted that the subsector is estimated to contribute about 17% of the agricultural gross domestic product GDP and 5% of the national GDP. Being vital to the socio-economic development of the country, Umakile added that it provides about 36.5% of the total protein intake of Nigerians and generates employment, income, and as well as earns foreign exchange for the country. Let's now take a trip to the commodities markets. The Transmission Company of Nigeria (TCN) says restoration of the national grid is almost completed following partial system disturbance earlier on Monday. The incident, TCN explains, was as a result of sudden drop in system frequency, which created instability. The restoration of the affected part of the grid commenced immediately nationwide, even as the National Control Center says a full-scale investigation is being conducted to establish and ascertain the cause of the partial disturbance. The Nigerian electricity supply industry regrets inconveniences caused, the statement said, and appreciates the understanding of electricity consumers within and outside the country. TCN assured electricity customers that it is committed to leveraging the concerted interventions instituted so far to enhance power supply reliability so that the issue of system disturbance will soon become a thing of the past. All studied in early Asian trade on Tuesday as indications that producer alliance OPEC Plus sought to avoid a collapse in prices along with a slight softening in the US dollar tempered an earlier sell-off. Brent crude futures rose 26 cents to $84.32 per barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 19 cents at $76.90 per barrel. Both benchmarks sank by about $2 a barrel on Monday, largely on US dollar strength. I will move to the capital market, where the Nigerian Stock Exchange pulled back its Friday losses, with stocks bouncing back on Monday as the all-share index closed trade on a positive note with 49,189.32 basis points. A total turnover of 119.2 million shares worth 854.7 million naira exchange hands in 3,580 deals at the end of Monday's session. The market's equity also closed out at 26.5 trillion naira. Now it's time to catch up with global market activities with Nneka Oko.
Stocks in the Asia Pacific were slightly higher on Tuesday after sharp falls on Monday. The Nikkei 225 in Japan rose 0.53%. The Shanghai Composite in mainland China gained 1.31%, and the Hang Seng Index added 0.04%. European markets were also higher Tuesday as stocks attempted to rally after unsteady trade at the start of the week. The DAX rose 0.83%, UK FTSE gained 0.3%, and CAC 40 of France climbed 0.94%. In the US, stock futures advanced early Tuesday morning after the market started the week by continuing its dramatic September decline. The S&P 500 gained 1.06% and Nasdaq 100 rose 1.18%, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average advanced 0.92%. Early figures from African markets point to mixed open, with South Africa and Namibia in negative territory, while Morocco is marginally positive.
And this is where we end this episode of the program for you today. Don't forget you can access all previous episodes on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us via our various social media platforms. Business Express returns Wednesday at 3 p.m. I am Leah Katumbabatunde saying have a wonderful day and God bless Nigeria.